Hey there, Mr. Van here with some key concepts and a little bit of guidance on the cooldown from day 2. The cooldown that we're talking about on this one is the backyard pool. So, a couple of things that we need to understand first. First of all, a relationship between two quantities is a function. That's a very specific definition here. A function if there is exactly one output for each input. We call the input the independent variable and the output the dependent variable. The reason why we call it dependent independent is because the dependent variable depends on the independent variable. Generally speaking, if you're dealing with time and some other quantity, like in class we were talking about time and the number of times the dog had barked, time is almost always the independent variable. It's very rare that you'll come across a situation where time is dependent on something else. So let's take a look at this. Relationship between the amount of time since a plane takes off in seconds and the plane's height above the ground in feet. These two quantities form a function if time is the independent variable and height is the dependent. By the way, we always put the independent variable on the horizontal axis and we put the dependent variable on the vertical axis. So if time is our independent variable and height is the dependent variable, then this is a function, because if you look at this, at any given time, there's only one possible height in feet that this plane could be at. Also, the height, the altitude depends on how long it's been flying for. Now, if we were to try to flip that around and say that time is a function of height, we run into a problem up here at 1500. We can see that this plane is at the same height for multiple times. So the height input would have multiple time outputs, which means it's just not a function. A function, again, is each input can only be paired with one possible output. This plane can only be at one particular altitude at any given time. Now, on the cooldown, this is kind of like the last activity that we did in class. Parents using a garden hose to fill up a small inflatable pool for her young child. The pool has a capacity of 90 gallons. She turns the water off after 5 minutes, but leaves the hose in the pool for another 3 minutes before putting it away. In this situation, the relationship between the gallons of water in the pool and the 8 minutes since the parents started filling the pool can be seen as a function. So, in the function, which variable is independent, which one is dependent? Well, what did I tell you about time functions? Anyway, like in the airplane situation, we would say that height is a function of time. The dependent variable is a function of the independent variable. That's the way we talk about these. So the question here is, write a sentence in the form of dependent variable is a function of independent variable. And then when you sketch a possible graph, make sure you click on this graph and you click on Open Drawing Editor, and that'll help you figure out how to sketch the drawing, but make sure you label it. Tell me what quantity goes on the horizontal axis, the independent variable. Tell me what quantity goes on the vertical axis, the independent variable, and then sketch a graph, whatever it looks like. If you have any other questions, let me know.